On March 27th, 2018, I'm going to call this meeting to order. And could everybody please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Clerk Lamas, could you please take the roll?
Assessor Moylan Cry.
Here.
Highway Commissioner Kazmierczak. Here. Clerk Lamas here. Supervisor Marask.
Here.
Trustee Jones.
Here.
Trustee Carabota.
Here.
Trustee McKenzie.
Here.
Trustee Sweeney.
Here. Okay. First order of business. I need a motion for approval of the minutes of the February 27th, 2018 bill pay review.
I make a motion to approve the February 27th bill pay review.
Can I have a second?
Second.
Having a motion and a second, do I hear any discussion? Hearing none, can you please call the roll?
Supervisor Marask.
Yes.
Trustee Jones.
Yes.
Trustee Carabota.
Yes.
Trustee McKenzie.
Yes.
Trustee Sweeney.
Yes.
May I have a motion for approval of the minutes of the February 27th, 2018 board meeting?
I make a motion to approve the minutes of the February 27th, 2018 board meeting.
May I have a second?
Second.
Having a motion and a second, is there any discussion?
Yes.
I recognize Trustee Sweeney.
Thank you. On page 5, paragraph 4, I would like to change Trustee Sweeney and Trustee Carabota concurred with Trustee McKenzie's proposition and voiced their disappointment in this process, and substitute with the sentence, Trustee Sweeney and Trustee Carabota concurred with Trustee McKenzie's proposition and voiced their disappointment in the reinstatement of IMRF benefits without board approval. A couple paragraphs down from that. After a long discussion, comments, and participation from the public by Dennis Martin and Jane Reardon, the vote was called for appeal. I would like to add to that, Dennis discussed concern about Maine Township's government transparency, and Jane Reardon discussed her support for the board's decision not to certify on August 22nd for the resolution that was passed.
Clerk Lamas, what do you have to say?
And there's one, I'm not finished
I'm
if
sorry.
you want to hear all my... and after, on that same page, near the bottom, about 3/4 of the way down, after a lengthy discussion, intense debate, a vote was called. I would like to just put C video.
I really think we should just put C video under all of those, because the whole idea of what we've been trying to do with the minutes is narrow them down, not make them longer.
That is correct. That is what we agreed to at 2 board meetings ago, that we would put the place on the video for each place, which has been done, and so I think the video speaks for itself. The purpose of the minutes is to be a reflection of vote taken. It is not to publish verbatim.
I concur with what you say. May I be recognized?
Yes, you may be recognized.
Thank you. I think what happens is that it's not consistent, and I do agree. I think that's an excellent idea to refer to the video more often, but when you have, in some instances, verbatim extra language, and then in other areas it's in summary format, then it's not consistent. So, for example, when we've talked about other comments that were made in other meetings, there was some statement as to what the concern was from the resident. And I just want to be, I think it's important that we recognize how our residents feel, even if it's one sentence or what comments that they do make. So I would like consideration for that.
I couldn't agree more that it's important that we recognize what our residents say and what they feel, because they are who we work for. However, we can't compare to past meetings where we had not put practice into place or disagreement. Because Viesha does these minutes, it was almost impossible to do the minutes from the last board meeting with the way everybody behaved. So, I wasn't going to say this, but I'll say it right now, that we are going to be having very strict, and I appreciate Trustee Sweeney complying with that by asking to be recognized, Robert's Rules of Order at this meeting. There won't be interruptions, myself included. There won't be catcalls or boos or cheers or any kind of anything like that. Watching that meeting, it was ridiculous, and Viesha had an incredibly difficult time. So I don't want to add to her work, and Viesha did these minutes without any input from myself. It was edited by Pete, and I think I changed a typo. Having said that, that's my opinion. Certainly, Trustee Carabotta, and then we're going to end this discussion.
Importance is to, as we've talked about over and over, is to stay consistent, would be to state who spoke and what was their subject matter, and then by Trustee Sweeney, I would supplement those changes to include a couple minor things. Well, one minor thing, page 3, second paragraph from the bottom, a minor correction, which is Trustee Carabotta reported that. The second line, where he makes reference to Francis Auburn, A-U-B-U-R-N, that should simply be O-B-Y-R-N-E. Then on page 4, on the bottom, the second of the last paragraph should read, looking at 1:29:18 of the tape. It states, Supervisor Morath stated that in 2011 the IMRF provided the employer audit and recognized the compliance with IMRF statutes and policies for township assessor to participate in the IMRF benefits. If you look at the tape, that's not what was said. To correct it, it should read, Supervisor Morath stated that in 2011 the IMRF provided the employer audit and that the certificate she was now handing out shows the results, period. So I'd ask for that correction to be made. But that's also an example of, see, there are times when it's very detailed and times when it's not. So it should, we really have to get these meeting minutes shorter. 8 pages is really way too long.
You just got them way longer.
That's why I took that same sentence, and if you count the words, we actually have 2 words less. It's just making it more accurate. If we're going to detail what was said, it has to then follow what was actually said on the tape. So I'd stand on those changes, and I would concur with you that what we need to do in the future, the ASHA shouldn't have to go through this kind of work, where we simply say so-and-so spoke about, or about, boom, the subject matter, see tape. Those would be my changes.
Changes that we all agreed to were that, first of all, as we said, minutes are to be done about action items. And for public participation, I think your system is already in place. We can do it for this one. She can shorten them and just do it throughout for the public participation and say, so-and-so spoke about agenda item, whatever it is, see tape. Does that meet with everybody's approval?
Well, it's not an agenda item, whatever they spoke about.
Well, they both spoke about an agenda item.
Right, but in the event that it's not.
Even though Mr. Garber was out of order, he did speak on an agenda item.
So I would concur, but I would stand on my request for change.
So for this one, you want to make the minutes longer? Is that basically what you guys are wanting to do?
Again, by the way I'm doing it, I'm actually shortening it by 2.
Well, Trustee Sweeney just said, I'm sorry. It doesn't matter to me.
In order to keep the meeting moving forward, we'll make the changes,
Right.
and let's call the roll.
May I be recognized?
Certainly, Trustee McKenzie.
On page 4, I have a change, a proposed change. Fourth line down, Trustee McKenzie stated that this month she was focusing on researching information, facts, circumstances, and law regarding the IMRF reinstatement. I think to be complete, it should say of Assessor Susan Moylan Cray, notwithstanding the board's vote not to certify. And on page 5, I think there's a typo in line 3. Trustee McKenzie stated that I think it's neither she nor trustees Carabota and Sweeney. In the 4th line, she added that as the result instead of in the result. Second paragraph, last line that starts with January 26, 2018, the trustees are permitted, deleting in a position, to appeal Assessor Cray's instead of this, reinstatement within instead of in 63 days. And then next line, motion to make instead of an appeal is motion to appeal the administrative, not just the decision, but the administrative decision of reinstating assessor. And then next paragraph that begins, Trustee Sweeney and Trustee Carabota concurred with Trustee McKenzie's proposal, not proposition, and voiced their disappointment in Assessor Cray's appeal without trustee knowledge instead of this process.
Okay, I commented, I don't want to interrupt you, but I commented on that same thing, so I can substitute what your sentence is.
Okay, thank you. And then the next line, Supervisor Marask says pointed out, it should say stated that all the actions. And then halfway down the page where it says Trustee McKenzie read out loud a resolution 2018-1 and asked for approval instead of an approval. Page 6, first real paragraph that starts, Trustee Sweeney asked if passing this resolution done every year instead of in an every year procedure, or isn't.
It says is in every year.
Is it done every year? That's all.
Clerk Chilamas, can you call the roll?
Supervisor Marask?
Yes.
Trustee Jones?
Yes.
Trustee Carabota?
Yes, subject to the amendments presented by Trustee Sweeney, Trustee McKenzie.
Trustee McKenzie?
Yes, subject to the amendments.
Trustee Sweeney?
Yes, subject to the amendments.
Need a motion for approval of the minutes of the March 15th, 2018 special board meeting. Hearing none.
Can I correct that? That was the February 27th one.
No, this is the March 15th special.
Oh, I'm sorry,
board.
we're doing the, I thought we were approving that. Sorry.
We already approved
Got
the
it.
other ones.
Yep.
Having a motion and a second, is there any discussion? Hearing none.
Yes.
I will recognize Trustee Sweeney briefly.
Thank you. Trying to find this. Pardon me for not knowing the page because I put something about, I had put a sentence, Trustee Sweeney recognized that this issue, Trustee Sweeney requested that Ms. Adams' petition and the Wire Points article be put on the March board meeting agenda and also be included in these meeting minutes of February 15.
Is that it?
Yes.
Okay. Can you take the roll?
Supervisor Marasco?
Yes.
Trustee Jones?
Yes.
Trustee Carabota?
Yes, subject to the amendment to page 1, last full paragraph presented by Susan Sweeney.
Trustee McKenzie?
Yes, subject to the same amendment.
And Trustee Sweeney?
Yes. Subject to amendment.
Is there any public participation at this time? I'm recognizing Sharon McLaughlin, although you
Due
need
to the
to...
amount of items you have on it, I would like to be put on the agenda for next month for my garbage problem. It's just continuing, nothing's changed.
Okay, Sharon,
Will you put me on the
hang
agenda?
on, I'm sorry. Can we meet in my office?
Pardon me?
I said, we have an entire month, can I resolve it before then? Can we meet in my office?
Well, you were appointed.
I know, but
to
I
the
don't-
meeting last time and we
But
didn't.
you weren't at the meeting, so I'm happy to
If you
have you.
want to call when you have a chance, I would like to just, nothing's changed. I don't want you to pay more when poor Mike's still picking it up. It's not fair.
Okay, I'm not gonna, I just
No, that's why
really
let's
don't
just
wanna
put
spend,
me on
it's
the
not
agenda.
also an agenda item.
If we resolve it, it's fine.
Okay.
I talked to Dana about it a year ago and nothing's changed. And then, you know, this is a.
Sometimes we can't legislate the neighbor's behavior.
behavior.
Sometimes it's impossible to legislate the neighbor's behavior, and you have to let Mike do his job and not worry that Mike's doing it
But there's
instead
still
of
a
Republic.
mattress laying in my alley for my Easter company coming over gets to look at it.
I will
You know,
make
that's
sure,
not right.
I will make sure that it isn't
But
there.
it shouldn't happen.
I agree.
Okay.
And believe
Let's
me,
put it on for next month. If we can come to a resolution.
I don't
you
think,
have to
I
talk.
think we can come to a resolution, all right? Is it,
They told me you were paying more. You don't have to pay more.
it's up, it's fine. It's still less than what we, I mean, honestly, we like to take care of it.
Okay.
If we
We'll go
can.
on with it, Okay, I just don't want to take up your time. I
It's,
just want to make a note of this.
but Sharon, I'm happy to meet with you this Monday in my office.
Let me check, let me
No.
just check, okay?
I'll be there all day. Thank you. And now I'm going to do some switching here. At the suggestion of some trustees from last time, I am going to move up the old and new business to be, I'm sorry, I'm not there yet. I apologize. I need a motion to approve the general assistance expenditures.
Make a motion to approve payroll for pay dates of March 9, 2018 and March 23, 2018, and general assistance checks number 51161 through check number 51218 in the amount of $59,061.98 with one amendment, and that is check number 51213. And speaking with our bookkeeper Denise Jaco, the amount of $1,090 to be increased to $1,270.
Are you on general assistance?
Yes. Check number 51213, which is the bottom of page 6.
Security benefit?
The payable security benefit, that's $1,090 is what's reflected, and we concurred meeting over bill pay review that Denise is going to amend it to $1,270, so that's going to increase that balance.
Second?
Having a motion and a second, is there any discussion? Hearing none, can you call the roll?
Supervisor Marasco?
Yes.
Trustee Jones?
Yes.
Trustee Carabota?
Yes.
Trustee McKenzie?
Yes.
Trustee Sweeney?
Yes.
And may I have a motion for approval of road district expenditures?
I make a motion to approve the payroll for pay dates of March 9th, 2018 and March 23rd, 2018, and road district checks number 20263 through check 20313 in the amount of $125,819.09.
Second.
Having a motion and a second, can you call the roll?
Supervisor Marasco?
Yes.
Trustee Jones?
Yes.
Trustee Carabota?
Yes.
Trustee McKenzie?
Yes.
Trustee Sweeney?
Yes.
I need a motion for approval of the general town fund expenditure.
Motion to approve payroll for pay dates of March 9th, 2018 and March 23rd, 2018, and general town fund checks number 55752 through check number 55826 in the amount of $295,116.87.
Second.
Having a motion and a second, is there any discussion? Hearing none, can you call the roll?
Supervisor Marasco?
Yes.
Trustee Jones?
Yes.
Trustee Carabota?
Yes.
Trustee McKenzie?
Yes.
Trustee Sweeney?
Yes.
All right. Now, what I'd like to do is to move up items 10, 11, and 12 in front of officials' reports. We won't have an attorney's report, and does the administrator have a report?
No, nothing back.
Okay. So, under personnel, we have a discussion and vote on filling an open maintenance position with an interim appointment of an existing employee. It's come to my attention, and I sent you all of this in the board packet, that one of our personnel wishes to retire. And with respect to this particular item, I would like to move to go into closed session pursuant to section 150/2A1C, since it's about an employee's personnel and performance and confidential information that will then be discussed in open session. I mean, it won't be voted on until open session. May I have a second for that motion?
Second.
Having a motion and a second, is there any discussion? Clerk Giovannis, can you call the roll?
Supervisor Marasco?
Yes.
Trustee Jones?
Yes.
Trustee Carabota?
Yes.
Trustee McKenzie?
Yes.
Trustee Sweeney?
Yes.
Okay, we're gonna recess for literally 10 minutes and do this. I'm gonna make a motion to come out of closed session. Having a motion and a second, can you call, all in favor? Okay, so, at this time, I am going to ask where the heck my agenda is. Okay. I'm going to ask first for a motion to approve the agreement discussed with respect to retiring individual. May I have a motion on that?
Motion to approve the early retirement or retirement buyout.
Of,
The maintenance.
this is of the maintenance foreman, and it will be effective April 17th. So, I'm sorry for the name. I'll make the motion. Is that okay?
Yeah.
And you can second it. That'd be great. Having a motion and a second, is there any discussion? Can you call the roll?
Supervisor Marasco?
Yes.
Trustee Jones?
Yes.
Trustee Carabota?
Yes.
Trustee McKenzie?
Yes.
Trustee Sweeney?
Yes.
All right, now I'm going to make a motion to appoint Mike Saman, the interim director of maintenance, effective April 17th. This job will be posted, and this will be at a salary of $58,000.
Second.
Having a motion and a second, is there any discussion? Hearing none, will you call the roll?
Supervisor Marasco?
Yes.
Trustee Jones?
Yes.
Trustee Carabota?
Yes.
Trustee McKenzie?
Yes.
Trustee Sweeney?
Yes.
I would like to say that we literally just consolidated our maintenance jobs and really saved this township a lot of money. And I also would like to say that our maintenance foreman, Dave Tech, has served us loyally and for a very long period of time, and I think that he will be missed, but I think it is an excellent thing that he be allowed to enjoy his retirement. And that's Dave Tech. And as the second part of that, it is my pleasure, and this is amazing, this still saves money, that we put Mike Simon in the interim position. You all know Mike because he picks up Sharon's garbage. Just kidding, Sharon. Come on. So Mike is not only a one-man garbage man, but if you didn't know, before he was code enforcement, he was in the maintenance department. Recently, we had a person resign from the maintenance department, so it's literally 1.5 people. I mean, by that, I mean one full-time person and one part-time person. So Mike, in his interim position, is also willing to take on two duties from the code enforcement, which are to staff train and maintain the hall monitors and safety guards for the safety of our building, as well as to still be responsible for delivering all the board packets and items to the trustees, both of which are significant duties. The first one more important, obviously. There's also a huge savings with respect to, we will post for an open code enforcement job. Mike has been here for quite some time. He has steadily worked his way up. He was in maintenance, and when the code enforcement job became open, he applied for it and he got it. And we are going to list that salary at a salary 15,000 below what it currently is. So I think this is a win-win all the way around. Mike and Dave have both been longtime members of the Maine Township community. Mike groomed Dave, and also, I'm sorry, Dave. That was a Freudian slip. Just kidding. So my point is that while we are sorry to see Dave go, we are happy to welcome Mike to that position, and when Mike is the interim director, he will assess whether it does even need another person or whether they can get by with a part-time person, which would again be substantial savings in terms of benefits and insurance. I just wanted to explain.
Those are big shoes to fill, because he has made so many friends for the township. The way he speaks to residents, tries to resolve things without giving people a ticket, does a great job.
Are you going to make a commitment that we'll still go pick up Sharon's?
Absolutely. Not a problem. One passing the
All right.
Thank you.
They want to know that.
Now, moving on, the next personnel issue, we don't need to go into closed session, has come to my attention, and I included in your board packet the job duties that when Denise Jaco was hired. Did I mispronounce her name?
Yes, Jane.
Oh, okay. It just says Jaco. Oh, thank you for that elucidation. I didn't recognize it. When she applied for the job, interviewed, the job duties had significantly changed. I think, as you saw in your board packet, significantly changed and increased. And even with Vicki helping substantially, and for those of you on the board who have not met Vicki Rizzo, that's Vicki in the third row who will be giving the RFP report on security. But anyways, the job duties have absolutely substantially increased, and we have to give Denise an assistant. She also, as you know, assists the board in many fashions and is always responsive to the board's requests for information and data, as well as during bill pay. So what we're looking for, and Denise can describe the position more, but what we're looking for is a part-time bookkeeper position that would not have benefits, and that would be at a pay of $15. So I am going to make that, first of all, Denise, would you like to add something about, how your duties are keeping you here until 8 o'clock at night? I think they don't maybe know that.
Yeah, it's, I keep like 3 sets of accounting books. I do 3 payrolls. And there are times when I'm doing so much more, like with insurance or with and the liaison for people with insurance issues. There are times when I don't even get to my accounting stuff until the afternoon. And the position just has grown with the different types of insurances that we do. And I have, as you can see, I have more bank accounts. I have 12 bank accounts that I reconcile. And the flexible spending has become with debit cards and stuff. And actually with our dental insurance, it's now more where it's not just that I get a check and I enter it. I'm getting emails every day with when people go to the dentist, and it has to be reconciled at the end of the year, at the end of the month, and also with the flexible spending now with debit cards. It's like every time someone uses their debit card, I get an email, I have to store it, and then at the end of the month, I have to reconcile it with a bank account, every debit, and they're generally like individually. So it's a lot of work, and it's sometimes hard. It's not a 40-hour-a-week job anymore. It isn't.
Well, I personally can attest it's about a 60 to 70 hour job.
And I do a lot of the HR labor.
Well, that's the thing. This job we don't have an insurance, in HR department, and I had given you guys the BGA list of 27 townships. And some townships, many townships with populations less than ours have 3 people in this position, or have an HR person. So Denise, one of the things I had her institute was to put a do not, float, or like, what is it that we put on the door from 2 to 4?
Do not disturb.
Right, do not disturb. Because people literally stop by her office all day long. All day long. So when you're working with figures, that's just impossible. So anyways, I didn't want to hire a full-time person. Don't think she's asking for a full-time person. And we would post this position, and that's what I asked for a motion for. So that we can discuss. I'll make the motion. I will make a motion to post and hire a part-time payroll finance personnel assistant to assist Denise Jadko. They would use the office that's being used part-time by Recovery Connection, so we can combine, and we'll be on the same floor. We've already talked to them, and it's all good. So there's no additional cost there. But the actual motion is to hire a part-time person for $15 an hour.
Second.
Thank you. Having a motion and a second, is there any discussion, question, comments?
Can I recognize?
Trustee McKenzie, I recognize you.
Is it okay if I ask Denise questions?
Of course.
So Denise, being an accountant myself, I just wonder, because some of the things you describe, I'm wondering if we can have the benefits, for example, the flex spending, that should be done by an administrator.
Well, we use paychecks to administer. They're the administrator. I just have to reconcile the bank accounts, and because if they send out the checks to to people when they file a claim. But people use their debit card. So I get notices that this person has used a debit card and this is the charge. And it goes against the bank account, say a bank account, and I fund that bank account. But the actual operations of it is with paychecks. I mean, they are the ones that get the claims, and they should file the claims, and they process the claims.
Right, 'cause okay. But I was understanding that you were administering the flex spending. I mean, that's just a reconciliation, right? I mean, am I missing something? Like, it's a bank reconciliation.
Right, but I also keep all the records up, and, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, that is, it is a reconciliation.
If that was huge, okay, explain that.
Okay.
Okay, sorry.
Oh, that's okay. I mean, that's why I had her do, the job description she was hired under, the actual jobs. Oh, and also the provisions, I don't think she mentioned that the provisions of the ACA have changed. So Denise is also responsible for all the insurance compliance and all of that paperwork that we'll be discussing in the next few months. And administering all of the different.
So how many hours are we talking? I know it's part-time. but
It would be 28, right? To keep it part-time, 28? 28.
Yeah, no, it has to be under 30 a week, so it would be,
Right.
Yeah, okay.
May I be recommended?
Trustee Sweeney, you may be recommended.
My concern is we voted to reduce the levy 5%. And, as of March 28th, our fiscal year starts March 1st. We haven't been presented with any budget information, and there's nothing that I see in this board packet. So it seems premature to me to make a decision on hiring additional people when we're trying to keep our threshold down and we're not certain, at least I'm not as a trustee,
Sure.
as to what our budget is. And I was expecting that any hiring decisions would not be considered until.
But we're not making
got
a
there.
hiring decision. I'm asking for a vote to post, and then we would interview, and then obviously it would come to the board. I probably didn't even need to seek board approval to post, but I wanted it. I mean, is
So
it
when
the
you say you're
vote?
not hiring, it's a $15.
Well, that's what I want to post. I'm including you guys. I want this because, first of all, in answer to your budget question, that's next week, Tuesday. We have the preliminary draft numbers, and you'll see that everything's been vastly reduced, including, I believe we are going to be capable of keeping the salary line item to either the same or lower, even if we gave a COLA or a merit or both, because we literally have consolidated this township from previously, I believe, 67 employees in that 2016 BGA, and now it is 62, and most of which are part-time. So we have realized massive savings.
Well, 47 are full-time, so it's not that most are part-time, most are full-time.
But nevertheless, we've lost Mary Swanson, who was a huge cost savings, did not replace someone in the senior department. We've literally just done the same in the maintenance department, and we didn't replace 3 people in the GA department, those part-time YP people. We didn't replace an assistant for Carol Langan in the food pantry. And so we've really held the line, if not decreased on salary. And I do listen to the voters, and I made poor Vicki do so many salary computations, which when we get to the closed session, I do have those that shows, I wasn't sure with respect to the day of the night, so I do have those, what the salary line items proposed might be. With respect to the budget line items, I participated with being in the budget. We've cut every line item 10% or more. We've absolutely met the levy thing, but probably way beyond it. But you have to realize there's an issue there because as I tried to explain during the levy, we also received property taxes. And, up until mid-March, I mean, the ones that went on this fiscal year. So there's always going to be, based on the prior, even keeping the levy flat, where we never increased it, we still got way extra property tax because, as I said, the capturing of the new construction, it happened. So when you hear my annual financial statement, you'll see our auditor was here, our preliminary audit numbers were great, and we're still within the governor's markers of the reserve. But at some point we won't. If we literally keep saving, and I mean, even though we've cut the levy, we still have a substantial reserve. And I have also included, as I wanted to say, and thank you for reminding me, in your board packet, these efficiencies, the reason we're able to do all this is because of the staff. Each department put together, that was included in your board packet, like the cost savings to the township of their actual actions and what they have done and the decreases they've made and the efficiencies they've done. I thought they did a really good job. Not to mention the amount of work they had to do to put that together, but
So when you referenced that you didn't need to seek our approval, you could have just hired this person.
not what I said.
Okay. I'm sorry.
I said we could have posted for a job and then I could bring it to the board and ask to hire. That's the votes. And you can say no. But, I mean, obviously I wouldn't do that. That's why I'm doing this. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, an intern.
I've never...
Okay, so an intern, I'm not generally going to, like, spend the residents' time discussing hiring a $10 an hour intern. I mean, not that this is, this is a $15 an hour bookkeeper. It's not, it's just not, I don't mean to say it's not that big of a deal. It's a huge deal to Denise. But I just don't think in terms of expand.
The big picture?
The big picture, it's a big deal. So I misspoke. No, of course I wouldn't not bring it to the board. Obviously I did bring it to the board, or it wouldn't be on tonight's agenda.
I would think we'd make a decision before we post something. It just doesn't seem...
But that's why we're doing this.
Okay.
I said I misspoke. Yes, Trustee McKenzie.
So, I don't want to belabor this, but I just want to say that, have we talked to our auditors? Have we thought about how to make Denise's job more of a controller or, supervisor and have some of these like reconciliations and payroll things done by a part-time person or an intern?
But that's what I'm asking to do. That's why I'm doing this. The auditor suggested it.
I just have a hard time believing that we have to post for this position for I would say that there's probably things on these lists that can be done by people that we already
We
have.
only have one intern who works 19 hours a week for every department. Who is it that you want to do this? And the person should have bookkeeping experience. I mean, honestly, would you, as an accountant, What, an assistant who didn't have bookkeeping experience?
Some of these things don't need a
Of course not, but it's the long, long list. I mean, nobody should, I mean, the bottom line is, you know, if we don't do it, then she will have to cut, we'll have to cut her, I mean, like she won't be able to be available at board meetings and other things, because she can't work 90 hours a week. It's a little nuts. And I have done efficiency studies, yes, I talked to the auditor. Auditor said that Denise was doing a fantastic job and was doing, everything right. And so he's the one that suggested this was, because it's not just a bookkeeping job. There's human resource components and personnel components. And Denise has gone to training on those things. So, there's no one else here that sorry.
I didn't even interrupt.
Okay, and she had raised her hand previously. Trustee Jones.
Aren't you two talking about the same thing? Am I missing something? It's just a matter, is it a matter of semantics? If they call Denise the comptroller instead and hire somebody part-time to do what you're talking about, isn't it essentially the same thing?
I was just wondering, like, the HR portion of her job, for instance. Like, that is not usually something that's put together with your controller job.
No, we don't have anybody.
But why wouldn't Dana's job?
It does. I mean, Dana and Denise and Vicki all work together. But Dana has to run the entire township.
I could take on more responsibility, but then I'd be working 60, 70 hours a week.
Right.
It would just be
Everybody's
more on
working
me.
3 jobs.
Could be, but then we'd be swapping hours.
Exactly. And Vicki is not only like working for Denise, she's working for Dana, she's working for me, and she's also supervises the interns, of which we have 1 now because the rest went back to school.
If I can be recognized.
Yes, Trustee Carabao.
I have absolutely no doubt in Denise's performance because I see it. And there's not much that gets past me. The problem is that I see at this point is that, which I was somewhat surprised when I saw this because I think it's premature. I really need to see the budget. I really need to see the budget done first. I appreciate assurances, but in my line of work, we go with items that are done first.
So are you asking to table it?
I asked them to table it.
Okay. So we sort of started loading up this April 3rd meeting. But I know she really, especially because we're in the middle of the audit, and I think the audit is, so if I can ask the board's indulgence, that's fine. We can table it. I'm going to ask Denise if she prefers the April 3rd or the April 27th. However, I really would like the board to try to send any requests for interdepartmental data to me or Dana only, because really, you just shouldn't be sending it to Denise or directly. It's not fair because she is in the, is an accountant. You're in the middle.
I would prefer the April 27th. That would give me more time to.
Is that okay with you? April 27th? Well, I think that, once again, we are really, I'm not in favor of this, but it's better than nothing. I think you're really making much to do about nothing, and I'm sorry to say that. I mean, don't disrespect at all. And in the meantime, this is the busiest time of year, as any financial person knows. So while we definitely can table it to them, it's going to have its impact. So just be
I would
aware.
also like to understand why $28 versus maybe starting at a lower amount, as a consideration.
Oh, we can,
How
it's
that
whatever amount you want. I mean, it was under 30, but my point was it's part-time. So it's not to
I appreciate
implicate.
that, yeah.
That's-
I think there's still budget issues, whether it's half that or all of it, or, so.
I mean, she may not end up needing person. She doesn't have the person, we can't post for the person. So the reason that, I just want to say the last word on this, that tabling it is really contrary to efficiency, is that it takes like, to post it, you need to post it for a month. So in reality, this won't happen until June 1st. And we don't have a board meeting until the 4th week in June. So,
How would the expectation be set for the person if you posted it? Would it be, you know, a 10, 15-hour job a week to start with? Would it be less than that, more than that?
we were proposing 25 to 28 hours. So, hearing no more discussion, can you call the roll on my motion?
Maybe the motion to table, correct?
No, I actually had the motion. So then we'll do yours.
So you're going to remove her?
No, I'm going to keep my motion. You guys can vote on my motion to post and hire the person. And then we can make a counter motion to table. Wouldn't that be, obviously, isn't that the accurate thing to do?
Do you want to be, you know, they want to table it, so.
I mean, so you guys are
Usually didn't vote.
definitely wanting to table this until June?
Until April.
April,
But it wouldn't be, that's the point. If you table it to April, it gets posted for a month, which makes it May 27th. That's what I'm trying to say. All I'm trying to do is post the damn thing. It doesn't commit you to hiring it.
And I understand on what I said.
Okay, so, I will, I'm not gonna make, I'm sorry?
Withdraw your-
I'll withdraw my motion, and I will recognize trustee Carabota to make this motion.
I move to table the issue, discussion, vote of hiring part-time payroll, finance, personnel assistant to assist Denise Jaco with suggested date of April 27th, the April 27th board meeting.
Second.
Having a motion and a second, is there any further discussion? My only discussion would be that since you will have numbers at the April 3rd, would you consider doing it at the April 3rd?
Okay. Just stand on what I said.
All right, can you call the roll?
Supervisor Morass?
No.
Trustee Jones? Sir?
I guess we can table it.
Trustee Carabota?
Yes.
Trustee McKenzie?
Yes.
And trustee, yeah, I had it on mute, I don't know what happened. Sorry, trustee Sweeney.
Yes.
All right, now I'm going to recognize Vicki Rizzo, who's going to come up and give us a report for the review and upgrade safety measures focused on making Maine Township a hard target.
Good evening, everybody. So in response to, things we've seen in the media regarding safety issues at the schools and at, some places, I was asked to do some research on some different security measures to enhance safety at Town Hall. So over the course of the past month, we had some different consulting firms and different companies give us some different pricing, which you guys received in your board packet. At this phase, I think these are just going to be kind of broad recommendations for what to budget for. I think we would go out for bid just because of the price of some of these things and just to get some different options. So prior to making any decisions on specific companies, we would want to do that. But some information was presented just for you guys to take a look at and discuss to see what direction we want to go in for safety. There's, of course, no set great answer of how do we solve all the different problems, but these are just some things that we could do to enhance security here at Town Hall. So if you have any specific questions about any of them, you can ask me just because I did the walkthroughs with the companies, but the rest of it I guess would be for you guys to discuss.
You recognize?
Yes.
Vicky, by the way, thank you for getting on this and doing such a great job.
Happy to do it.
Would the foundation be, would that include a one entry point, one exit point for the property? Because I know right now there's two.
There is two. And I want to be careful with what I say too, just because, we don't want to put,
Nothing's
Oh,
in
can
stone.
you tell them what the last proposer said, that we shouldn't discuss the details?
well, one thing, I'll start kind of from the bottom. You may have seen in the media recently, there are some of our local school districts are actually hiring security solutions experts. I'm keeping the names of the companies out. They asked that they're, at this time, till we do an RFP, that they don't want that out there. But we did have 2 of the companies who are working with some different schools come out, and one of them did say that we should try to keep this stuff as private as possible, maybe in closed session. So right now, we do have, so that's one thing we want to consider, is not putting all that out there, what we don't have. But yeah, we do right now have 2 entrances to our facility. Due to the volume of people that use our town hall services, I'm not really sure how feasible it would be to have everybody come through one. That's something that we would have to really discuss and see, but we could, and you'll see there's a lot of different pricing on there, and there's different pricing for different options, as well as what would need to be done here, it would have to be administered by, security personnel and things like that, so.
I would really like to focus on bringing 2 entrances down to 1, and I would like to focus on the metal detectors and armed and security officers enforcing that detector at the 1 entrance. I think we can be much more, we can have, save considerable expense and really have a higher grade of security by keeping it down to 1 entrance. Also, all the different facilities that I travel to, and I think any of the board members can concur with that, all the court systems all the courthouses I go to, all over the state and out of state, they all have 1 way in, 1 way out. So
No, I'm sorry.
that's just why I emphasize that. And like I say, I would like to see the metal detectors, and I would like to see the ID cards, and I would like to see someone there that can enforce it, not just someone that can look mean, but someone who's also caring to enforce.
Supervisor Mandy?
Yes, trustee, I'm sorry, Assessor Moyle.
I think that your 1 entrance and your 1 exit would be virtually impossible. We have private clients in 1 section of the building that they would have to travel and go through. And our front entrance really cannot accommodate different events that we have, especially between the assessor's office and the clerk's office, when we both have conflicting times, when we have people that are lined up actually to get in and actually put in a waiting area. And for them to go through, our other exit would be through GA, which entertains clients with private information, where they actually have sound, I'm not sure the name of the equipment, that they're in separate offices with the doors shut. They would have to go down that hallway and then go out through that exit. That's virtually, I can't even imagine it. I can't even fathom it with the amount of people that we will have come through here with the offices of the assessor and the clerk. It's just unimaginable.
Or a regular day. I mean, I'm sorry.
Yeah, if
Just even a regular day.
I would just like to add, Trustee Carabone, I agree with you in the standpoint that it sounds good on paper to have 1 entrance, but in reality, on a day-to-day basis at the township, I agree with Assessor Moyle-Kratz, it's a near impossibility, because we've got people coming in and out of here constantly for our services. In GA's, its own other department that also has a number of people coming in and out.
Which shares with Maine State.
Which shares with Maine State.
And I would then defer that to that judgment. I would go with 2 entrances in and out, as long as both entrances are as secure. We don't cut back on what we're going to do with the entrance because we're doing 2. So I would definitely have to defer to that experience, because I am not here all the time.
Right. I appreciate that. Trustee Jones wishes to be recognized.
I was just going to say that I think another consideration, if you funnel it down to 1 entrance, might be actually creating a fire hazard, which we would have to talk to the marshal about before we did anything like that. Because 1 entrance may not be enough to allow people to escape in the event that there's an emergency.
That is true. Also, Dave has indicated he's willing to.
Yeah.
Crossed it off my list.
Okay, excellent. Trustee Sweeney, you're recognized.
Thank you. So just for purposes of discussion, to talk about the individual things for the sake of people watching this in the audience and at home.
Oh, wait, we're
No.
not supposed, no.
No, that's the point.
No, the point is, we're not supposed to do that because it actually will
There,
not.
so there was public comment for security.
Right, they're compromising the security that we made.
That was the recommendation of all the security.
Okay,
Right.
I'm not talking something specific just to Maine Township here when I talk about
Oh.
things that we can use for security.
Or I thought you were reading-
Metal detectors and x-ray machines and armed guards and the costs involved in doing that. I just think it's a healthy thing to, you know, have people be aware. I mean, we have our annual town meeting coming up on April 10th. And, you know, maybe this is something the electors, it's not on the agenda, I know.
Can't be
So
added, sorry.
I guess they can't really weigh in on this, but, you know, depending on how soon we do things. I mean, an armed guard can vary from $25 to $40 an hour,
Okay, but we're not,
it looks like.
I thought the whole point was not to discuss exactly specific things on here.
Well, I think anybody considering security and safety has to consider this. And if we're
I understand what you're
admittedly not in a position now that we might want to be, that's why we're considering this. I don't think anything's wrong with bringing.
Can I be recognized again, please?
Yes.
I'm not finished though.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you
Out of the
finished
table, so I mean, can I not talk about
Sure.
like what, you know,
You can talk about the
the
general
metal
things that.
detectors?
We just don't want to talk about what we have now.
I tend to agree
That's all.
with you that the cost of an armed guard is too much. I don't think it's necessary. But these are our opinions that are premature because we don't have any proposals.
And what x-ray machines cost?
Right, I
and
think
things
it's
that.
like
So
all
it's
somewhat too much.
$40,000.
I haven't experienced. It was your guys' suggestion to put it on, I did, so the cost is going to be enormous. It's not that I don't want to protect our employees in the least. Obviously, there's safety measures that can be done via this front door and the other front door, and I say that what tonight's vote is about, what I is to tell Vicki, give her some guidance as to should we move forward and with, you know, a particular company or get more companies or hard proposals for the hard target. It was your agenda item.
May I be recognized?
Trustee Carter, you may.
It is true that I raised it, but the problem is because I've seen it. And now, at the last board meeting, when I raised it, I said, well, none of the schools are doing it, nobody's doing it. Now we have this board meeting, which is only 30 days later, and now we're finding out that schools are looking at it. I gave a talk to Deerfield Township's board, and one of the questions is that here we have situations where you have students that are, two situations where students are ejected from schools because of improper conduct. They come back to the school, and even with an armed guard, somehow the student comes back to shoot up his fellow students with a gun. He gets past that armed guard. Now, the last one that was reported, there was an armed guard that didn't wait outside. The armed guard went into the school, found the shooter crossed off on him and killed him. But that's number one. Number two is that these are a lot of the heavy expense is one-time expenses. I mean, you're going to buy the hardware, et cetera, it doesn't have to, it has to be maintained. But there's no benefits package, you got to pay for the hardware, there's no medical insurance and IMRF and all that other. And the armed guards can be independent contractors, outside independent contractors. I'm sorry to say, but it's just a fact. It's a cost of doing business. If you're going to be having people coming in, whether it's somebody coming in for taxes, someone coming in for GA benefits, we don't have a clue who these people are. And I don't want to wait till somebody gets hurt. Now, also, last point, if you have this kind of stuff, it's going to intimidate anyone not to come here and go next door or go somewhere else and shoot that place up. Okay, so, I mean, I come from a world I guess I grew up in a world that's really pretty two-dimensional. There's the right side of the track and the wrong side of the track. And a lot of these people, you just can't trust anymore that there's any parameters. There's no more never shooting cops. There's no more never shooting fellow students. There's no more never shooting children or ladies. So we have to rise to the level and then overcome it.
Okay, Trustee Carabota, respectfully, all we want to do, that's great, but all we want to do is tonight give Vicki some
And
guidance.
I also do that if I can. But
Sure,
And if I could
but
just,
we're all
another comment before we get Vicki, I just want to say,
because you have to pick.
in our previous meeting, we had talked, there was an option presented to us, but I just want to confirm this and let people know it's not an option, I don't believe. An alternative to provide training for concealed carry and having.
That is
So we're not-
absolutely not an option.
So we are not home rule, so we don't have that as an option.
No, Cook County is home rule, and Cook
Right.
County is the people that make the concealed carry law, which specifically exempts having a gun in a government building. That's why I was going to, and I apologize that I interrupted Trustee Carabona. With respect to the Daily Center, there are 4 entrances, and actually they're not allowed to be armed in there because of that.
The Daily Center?
Yeah.
No, there's one.
There's 4. You
Oh,
can
there's-
enter on Randolph.
I'm sorry. You can enter into the lobby.
Right, then they funnel them.
You can't get anywhere into the building.
Come from the.
Right,
from
you can
the-
get down to the concourse.
There's one, right, there's one. Well, that's true. They do have at the concourse
You
level.
could come to 4 different entrances.
You go into the outside doors.
I
and you have a
I
choice.
didn't mean to have this whole discussion. I just wanted, I just wanted to point out that, no, that is not, there are not 10 employees that want to be armed. It cannot happen, it will never happen with Cook County and state law, what it is.
I really wish I could say that. I thought this would never have to happen. We would have to consider this. So, but my parameters would be the benefit between the metal detectors at $8,500 per door versus the parcel X-ray machine, which is $40,000 per door. I'd like to see why there's such a difference there.
I can explain that.
Oh, go ahead.
Sure, so what I was doing is, I wasn't really sure with starting this off, because we're not, this is sort of a new thing we're researching, I kind of give you all the examples, and places that came out, some places had some more extreme measures. So the walk-through detector would be, it would be a one-time cost, and again, we'll get costs from different places and things like that, just trying to get us the best cost, but it would be, for each entrance, just the normal standard thing that you walk through, monitored by security personnel, like by a guard that we would hire. And then it also comes with there's also an additional handheld detector for additional screening. Because what we were looking for was the feasibility due to the volume of people who use our services. We wanted to make sure that it's something efficient where we don't have, a bunch of seniors who are here for a program standing outside waiting. So that would keep it as efficient as possible. If you want to get, very extreme, that's where the cost of the parcel X-ray machine comes in, which is, that would be where, if there's individual bags, it would do it. But I think that we could try it, we could look into the smaller option and see.
Okay.
And then going with that would be, the security personnel would be companies that we outsource, who provide us with guards that are managed by their firms, and they handle paying their benefits and things like that. So that would just be a cost. We would also want to consider what hours we would want someone. Our facility, our standard hours are from 9 to 5, but our mainstay personnel is here evenings, and then like tonight we're here for an evening event. So there's different options, things you want to budget, consider as well as how many hours we're all here. You don't want to just have somebody for a little while. You want to consider all the staff that's here in the evenings as well. So most of these options too kind of rely on security personnel. We can't really expect our receptionists to do that with a high volume of calls. So
Sounds like you really got it together, and I think we should keep going down the route that you're looking
that we can do. So whatever, if you guys would like, whatever you'd like to decide on, or what have you keep working, it's been something that's worthwhile to keep looking into and getting more prices, or if you're ready for, an RFP and you're really kind of looking to specific measures.
I'd be ready for it. I would suggest that we're ready for RFP.
And what would you like the specific RFP to include?
Exactly what you mentioned. First of all, the first item.
Well, there's option 1 and there's option 2.
The metal detector, the less expensive, the $8,500 with the scan, within the hand scan. The armed guard for each door. I don't know if we would need really ID cards there. I don't know if we would really need, I would say just with that for now. I would say let's see about this for that for now. Because I think it's more familial here and everybody knows who's supposed to be here and who's not supposed to be here, so to speak.
Vicki, what's the difference in the huge price?
Yeah.
What's the huge price differential in this visitor management option 1 and
So-
option 2?
So those are some different options aside. Those are additional things that some different places recommended. The first thing under visitor management is a software program where when people come in, and this would be more for kind of, this would be more to help us track who's in the facility at any given time. So somebody would come in, have to identify themselves, present an ID, and get like a name tag. So similar to what schools do, you know, if you go to your local school, you
Right.
kind of go to a
Is
tablet,
that the
check in.
$20,000?
Yes, that would be, that's approximately $20,000 for both.
And why is that one so much more than the buzzer system at the front desk?
You know what, I think it's just because of the, I have a quote, I won't read specifics from it, but it's a lot of different software, it's badge printers, it's,
Which one would protect Tracy, Pete, that whole lineup down
well,
there?
I think the buzzer system, there's no way that, once somebody can say with a bag, hey, I'm here, and you buzz them in, and then you've kind of lost that, what do they have, you're just buzzing them in. I think that, based on the research I did, I would say that something that the metal detector would be more effective than just buzzing them in or out. And we currently do have some buzzer systems.
Oh, so if you did the metal detector, you don't need the
No, this is
visitor?
kind of like an a la carte menu, like you kind of can pick and choose what.
Yes, trustee,
I just have a concern as far as with metal detectors. I mean, we have so many seniors coming in on a regular basis for the different programs. I think we're gonna throw them for a loop if they're having to go through a metal
pacemakers,
detector.
hip implants.
I mean,
And plus they're disabled.
even with the clerk's office, I mean, people are coming in on a regular basis for passports. You have people all the time in your office. If they're having to go through a metal detector, again, I think we're gonna wind up with traffic jams. I don't think we have the staff to handle somebody coming in and out on a regular basis having to go through metal detectors. And my personal opinion is, yes, I want my employees and everybody at the township safe, but we're not a courthouse. We don't have criminals coming in here on a regular basis. I think that's way over the top. I mean, you can go into the city of Des Plaines, Park Ridge, in the township, you want to feel welcoming, not, hey, we're afraid that you, our constituents, are coming in to see us. That's my personal.
I tend to agree with you, that high school still needs to have one.
Yeah, you recognize that?
Trustee Carabota, yes, and then honestly, I do
What
want to
started
say-
all this with the courthouses was not even a criminal, wasn't even a criminal case, it was a civilian. One. Number two is that, again, like I say, once you make the expense, you make the expense and it's paid. Number three is that every day, courthouses, every day, people come in with pacemakers, laptops, all kinds of neat stuff. This stuff is very high tech. Now, it used to be, years ago, if you ran your laptop, they make you put that laptop through, it screwed up your hard drive, and lawyers would freak out. Now, everything goes through everything. And now, the last point, I just think if someone knows there's a metal detector there, and there's somebody there who can enforce it, that's gonna solve a lot of problems before they even start.
Well,
Supervisor Ryerson, can I just ask a question?
yes, trustee.
Pete, if you're, can you hear me? I just wanted to know what your thoughts were, if you could, you were going down the path, what is it that you would like to see? I understand your concerns, so are you?
I'm not opposed to having a security guard or looking into other measures to help secure the building. I just personally think metal detectors way over the top for the people that come here on a regular basis. I think it's going to intimidate our seniors and make them not want to come, and we have a number of Mainstreamers that are in this building on a weekly basis. And to subject them to having to go through a metal detector every time they want to come in and use the township, I personally think
And the
it's
Maine
nuts.
State people.
And Maine State.
So,
I mean, I'm certainly not opposed to having a security guard here or updating our camera system, door locks, whatever a security person who's an expert in that field would suggest.
did you say an X-ray machine too, or are you?
I just don't see the need for it.
Where's the room? Trustee
I'm just
Johnson.
asking.
Vicki, I know people who are experts in security often find ways to reinforce or secure buildings without, the best one is without you even knowing that they're doing it. So, you know, it's not obvious as far as metal detectors, and a lot of times those are very cost-efficient ways and not difficult to achieve. Did they talk about anything like that, where, you know, ways that we could, you know, improve our security, but be much more subtle about it?
Yeah, well, one of the things, some suggestions were made that we've already implemented. The other thing that we could do as sort of a first step is if we wanted to go with, well, we could just kind of do a little bit, we could do more research. You know, this was done, a lot of, we could, now that we've kind of narrowed it down what we're looking for, we absolutely can have a few more places come out and maybe reach out to some other consultants, as well as maybe a smaller thing we could budget for is some of what the schools are doing, which is having the assessments and the training and things like that. I will say, even as we had student seconds walking around, we came up with some good solutions, and already we're like, okay, all right, you know, I think I spoke to some of you guys about some of those. So there are other options, absolutely. If you guys would like, I can do more research and go online and maybe see what some of the other local governments are doing, see what the other town halls are doing in the area. To start with, we kind of went for just sort of the go big or go home measures, but we can definitely, if you guys would like, research some other options and what other people are doing. So
I think that's what I would be more in favor of at this time, is to do more research and find ways to securing the building in more subtle ways, rather than going, you know, all out.
Maybe you could also ask City Hall, Park Ridge.
Yeah. You could do that for sure.
Explain. I mean, Park Ridge has an entire police force. Oh, is he still here? I'm so sorry. I didn't recognize him. He had very nice officer. Anyways, yeah, if you could do that would be great. And once you've done more research, you can draft an RFP and present it at the
Sure, we present it, sure. So then, yes, that's what we'll do.
And there's nothing really to vote on.
I would just stand on what I said, and I think that it's a person situation in my opinion. But even tonight, we're sitting here with absolutely nothing.
So, but I'm sorry, Trustee Carabona, what is it that you want us to do?
I want to see metal detectors at both entrances. I want to see armed guards.
No, I mean tonight.
For tonight, I want an RFP on metal detectors at both
That's
entrances.
what she's going to do.
Do you want me to do it for that?
Yes.
Yeah, she's going to do more research as well as develop an RFP with the items that have been listed.
For the metal detectors and the security guards to administer it.
Armed.
And then also
Armed.
armed.
Can I ask a quick question before you move on?
Sure.
I don't know if anyone on the board is interested in me reaching out to my fellow administrators to ask what other townships do for security. Would you be interested in?
That'd be great.
Yes.
Okay. So
That's what I meant, what I think you meant by more
I will
research.
get on that and report back to court.
Because anything worth doing well, is worth doing well rather than fast.
Right.
Yeah, I'd be curious to see what other townships have for security
It's not,
measures.
and I agree with Trustee Carabota, it's not the expense, although I think, I totally agree with Courtney a lot, who said that metal detectors are just so over the top for what this township's population is, and
And we're not dealing with criminals. I mean,
right, we're not
courthouses
a
are
courthouse.
dealing with criminals.
We are not a courthouse.
We're
But schools are a different environment, and and schools, I'm sorry. No. I'm sorry, do you want to be recognized, please? That's okay. But I was going to say, schools are also not for criminals, obviously. However, schools, the ones that, like Vicki has contacted, yes, they're moving towards more security measures. I don't see any schools getting metal detectors yet. So they too want to make it a welcoming environment for the children, which it seems at odds. I mean, we've had this discussion, we're not going to get into the philosophy. If a shooter wants to shoot, they're going to shoot. But we're trying to protect our employees as best we can. I think we're all on the same page there. So Vicki will get an RFP together, but with a little more research as to other townships. Don't go crazy. And Park Ridge and Des Plaines. Niles. We'll look for Niles in that. All right, moving on into new business. The next thing is not actually up for any kind of vote. Oh, I'm sorry, I skipped two more. First of all, we have a report of the Committee on Procedures and Policies. That was the committee we established at the February board meeting. Trustees Carabota, McKenzie, and Sweeney, who said they would meet publicly and have a report by this board meeting.
So I have some things to pass out that I will just, I'm going to read this first and then.
Did you guys meet publicly?
To the board policy, so.
Oh, wait, I'm
we
sorry.
have-
Did you guys meet?
We had separate meetings and this will address that, so I'm going to talk to you about that. This will serve, I have a summary report of the board policy committee's activities since the committee was formed in February at the meeting in 2018. And although the board committee members, Trustee Carabota, Trustee McKenzie, and myself have not met collectively, I have had individual conversations with them about what board policies are most urgently needed for consideration by the committee and ultimately by the board. So our committee recommends that Maine Township initiate a comprehensive set of board policies, and our intention is to incorporate best practices in respect to board proceedings, operations, and transparency to ensure government integrity and board efficiency. Compile a list of issues to be addressed by the adoption of formal board policies. And I have an outline of an initial list of the most pressing concerns, as well as a remedial draft policy which may serve as a working document.
I'm sorry, Trustee Sweeney, I have to interrupt. I apologize, it's going to be my only interruption. So I actually don't want you to read the whole thing because the whole purpose was to have a public meeting so it could have public input.
And that's what we're doing here, is talking about it publicly.
No.
So we
On
want
your
to ensure
committee,
that we...
instead of spending like you were going to bring, you guys were supposed to have a meeting. You can use the township and publicly so people can come.
We had some urgency to try to do this along with all the other things.
That's okay, if you want to table it, that's fine, and we
I
can
don't
make
want
that
to
part
table
of
it,
the
I want to
minute.
present this and have this included in the meeting minutes, and then I have draft policies. But we individually have...
I'm calling you, okay, we can't accept draft policies that was made
This was
by
our
a committee that didn't meet.
We are a committee, and
But
we're not a
that's
committee
not
of the
what
whole.
we
It was the
agreed on.
three of us in separate meetings that came up.
I'm sorry, it wasn't open to the public.
This is open to the public,
But-
and everything will be
Okay.
on view for the public to see.
Not the
There's
draft
nothing-
policy. Okay, I'm sorry. So I'm going to table this report. Trustee Carabona, you may be recognized, but
On February 27th, when the board was formed, the board said that the board may, and the minutes confirm it, that the board may meet publicly. We're not mandated.
no, the video actually said
And
to
if we meet collectively, that's three, that's more than two, then it has to be posted and then it has to be videotaped. If we decided that that was necessary, we took a procedure that it was not necessary and it was not mandated, no need for all that time. We managed to knock out these policy proposals, and as the minutes will confirm and the tape will confirm, we're supposed to now present those to the board for the board's consideration and or amendment. So that's what we did.
I'm sorry, but we didn't have any input. There was supposed to be a
There's
meeting.
nothing,
That was the
this is meant to have
understanding.
input as we propose this to you tonight, and
I'm
you
sorry,
can
for the
take
draft,
time
okay.
to review this and update it. We have things that are critical.
I'm
things right
none
now.
of you, okay.
We have agenda items that we've asked
I'm
to
going
be
to
on
call
the
this
agenda
out
that do
of
not get on the
order
agenda.
under the
We
Roberts,
have,
excuse me, under the Roberts Rules of Order. I am going to actually postpone consideration of this.
I have a point of clarification. If we formed the committee and it was at the committee's option that we meet before three of us meet collectively, if we need to, but the outcome was to be that we form outline policies for the board to consider, and then one way or the other, we present those to the board. I'd like to know how we're out of line and why this would then require being tabled.
Because it is was the clear intention. I think it's very disingenuous. We had the attorney here. It was absolutely discussed to have an open meeting. We offered the video, we offered the room, and I may want to come. Kim may want to come. I mean, so we can't spend, I mean, this is one of the reasons that we're here till midnight, when we really don't need to do that.
We actually thought for sake of urgency and to ensure that we follow parliamentary
I'm
procedures.
happy to make them part of the
That is
minutes.
what's included in here, some of the procedures and policies that will be critical for us. So that's.
Okay. Trustee
what-
Sweeney, parliamentary procedures are Robert's Rules of Order, so. It was
So I have requested this be in the meeting minutes.
That's fine.
I would like
That's fine.
both the memorandum as well as the individual board policies.
That's fine.
That
I would
are
love to
draft.
read it. That's not what I was saying. I would love to read it. I really would like, let me clarify, if I didn't say it at the last board meeting, I really would like this committee. I want to take it seriously. I want this committee to meet. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. I think it would be great.
Since I have the floor, I thank you for that.
I didn't,
now-
yeah, I
now
wasn't
is
done.
it-
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
So I'm happy to put those in the minutes. We have a really large agenda to get to, so we're actually not going to vote on anything tonight.
No.
And we wanted to have a public meeting, or your committee, so that there could be public comment and things like that. Not part of the whole Maine. That's the whole part of a committee of a committee. You know that from Park Ridge. You do know exactly what I was talking about at the last board meeting. They have many separate committees, Public Works, that meets and comply. It's, you know, VH is happy to post an agenda. It's not,
And for clarification on that, we're a subcommittee, not a committee of the whole. So the meeting minutes reflected committee of the whole, and I didn't want to change that because that wasn't sure that was just said inaccurately. But as I
well,
said,
you're a committee of more than, of a full quorum, so obviously you would need, as you said, to post an agenda and have it video, right?
well, I was just
Or taped,
giving
either
a
one.
point of clarification that it's a subcommittee, not a committee of the whole.
Right, but I'm saying, many municipalities have subcommittees, and
I'm just letting you know because that was in the meeting minutes. So I want to just ensure that both the memorandum as well as the draft policies will be in the meeting minutes then. For viewing.
absolutely, absolutely. So, having said,
If I can say one other thing, just,
sure,
you know, as far as the things that will be included then that people can expect, including all the board members to see, it's going to be addressing public records, interaction with IMRF, public access counselors, record retentions, posting of financial records and data for improvement and transparency on our website, establishing agenda items, parliamentary procedure, policies and procedures, and minutes and board meeting video recordings. So I think this will be very helpful, and I'll just close it out by saying, I think not having any of this in any kind of board policies has, well, let me just say it this way. I think going forward, it will help us tremendously in communication and to have better adherence to Robert's Rules, which was actually the first draft policy that we recommended. So, thank you.
I'm sorry, you're not actually redrafting Robert's Rules, are you?
No, we recommended that all board members actually get training in Robert's Rules in the next 60 days.
I'm sorry, Trustee Sweeney, you were the person, okay, I'm not even going to say it. Trustee Carabota, one last comment on this subject, and
So,
then
I just wanted, as a point of clarification, although we're done with the proposed drafts. And we managed to get, this, just for the sake of our, no matter what, we have to have a meeting and we have to go ahead and post it, is what you're saying. So then what we need to do is select a date for a meeting now, is that what we need to do?
No, if you don't want to do that, just tell us. I mean,
No.
that's what we thought was happening.
No.
What I would like, Rebecca.
And I'm sorry, first of all, can
I-
you pass down what you have?
Yes, I
It
will.
doesn't appear you drafted anything.
Let's pass it down.
It doesn't appear.
No,
that-
just
No,
Susan,
you
let's
listed-
pass it down.
You listed areas of,
Let's just pass it down.
It takes one.
well, we have an attorney for personnel. We only asked you guys to develop, you wanted policies on certain issues. You went way beyond the policies on certain issues that you actually requested.
Actually, if you look at benchmarking and looking at what other.
I'm not looking at benchmarking, I'm looking at what you requested. I'm
These are
sorry.
policies that fit under what you, how we created this.
You requested it at the last board meeting. You're the one that requested it. I put
So I
every
think-
single line.
I think everything that we put, and you haven't seen it yet to know, but falls under that category of what our board is for policies and procedures. So
Okay.
my recommendation would be this, and I would request this now, that we, since we're not able to read this now in open session, that we do it at our next board meeting. And so I'd like to get an agenda for the, not the 3rd, but, or we could do it the 3rd if we have time.
No, we actually can't do it.
If we don't, if we can on the 3rd, then
Then
on the
April
26th,
27th.
the 27th,
Or
sorry.
26, we're going to be having a very long budget
Yeah.
discussion.
And
Uh,
in advance of that, I would like.
So you
input
want
from-
a vote on this, or a read?
Yes, I'd like a vote on that,
But,
discussion
so,
and a vote.
first of all, we're going to need to hire an attorney and review them and all of that stuff. I mean, no, I shouldn't say stuff. So remember when we made this was a committee to draft proposed policies that
Right.
would then be reviewed and brought to the board as an advisory thing, right?
Yes, it's
Okay,
a proposed
I think we're all
policy
in agreement here. So you want it on the April agenda, we'll go on the April agenda.
for discussion and vote. Right. And, you know, I would just suggest that anybody who has concerns and wants to make edits prior to that, that I can, you know.
There may be people that want to make contrary proposals or different.
Sure. But we're the committee, so I guess I would like to,
I don't know. All right, this discussion.
we're open to input, is what I'm saying. To reduce discussion time and voting time, I guess.
Okay, so that will be on the next agenda for discussion and voting. And I appreciate the work you guys did. And the next item of business is at trustees' request. They wanted a discussion and vote on hiring additional counsel for their IMRF agreement. So I'll recognize any one of you that wishes to speak to this issue.
Well, I'd like to make a motion to hire an attorney to represent the board in the IMRF appeal.
Yeah, second.
Okay, having a motion and a second, is there any discussion? All right, my only discussion is you'll be responsible for finding that attorney. Okay. And give a deadline, date. As soon as possible. Well, no, I mean, we're gonna vote on it right now, so
Well, we'd like to.
we're gonna hire him as soon as we vote.
Yeah, we
You
just-
guys have 3 votes, so, I mean,
We'd like to interview a couple of people and make a decision.
You're establishing a cost on that?
Right, what's the cost gonna be?
Well, proposed to you.
I'm sorry.
They'll be proposed to you.
So, but we don't have a budget, so how can we hire an attorney for this when we can't hire post a $15 an hour bookkeeper?
Well,
We're on the budget and our
discussion.
attorney's fees for this year, so.
I'm sorry.
We do have extra money available in our attorney's fees budget for this fiscal year, if that's what your question is.
So
Right
it's
now,
a
it's just us.
totally separate issue about attorney's fees, because attorney's fees, either way, losing, winning, all of it's gonna be borne by the township eventually. However, if it was frivolous, then the township may have a position that they come in and do, where, it's not, the word is not subrogation, where, a Rule 137, as you said previously in past board meetings, that it should not be paid by the township. It should be, usually in the petition, whichever side wins gets attorney's fees. It's generally, I don't
We're on the
think.
same side. So
No, you have a member of the board who's on the other side. It's absolutely not true.
No, the board is appealing. The
we're 100.
other side is not the board. So,
Well, I'm sorry, I do think that Assessor Marley Pryor, whether she votes or not, is a member of the board. And if you, I mean, there is case law very much on point that she probably will get attorney's fees out of the township as well. So the only issue tonight is, well, if she wins and you lose, and the board loses, then.
Is she appealing as well?
No, you are.
Okay, I didn't know if she also was appealing.
What would she appeal?
So are we going to?
My only question was, you guys will take care of hiring the person.
yes.
Okay. I think we should call the question.
Call the vote.
All right. Supervisor Moransky.
No, now I'm only voting no to be consistent with my previous votes against this appeal.
Trustee Jones?
Wait, can I just ask one more thing?
Hmm?
We're not voting on whether to appeal.
We've already done that.
Right, so you're voting on whether or not we're going to hire additional, or actually counsel
Mhm.
to assist in the IRF appeal. It has nothing to do with your vote on whether to appeal or not.
Well,
This is your
it does if you're also counting that I'm actually voting to now have the township pay for it, because I don't know actually what the law is on that until I get advised by an actual township attorney, who should not be the same person. So I definitely think there does need to be an additional attorney. That I agree with. But I do think I'm allowed to be consistent with my prior votes. I'm not against the idea of it, but I think it's a waste of taxpayer resources. I think that the entire issue, I made my stance, I said it at the last board meeting, I said it in my letter, I'm just gonna remain on my vote.
Trustee Jones?
So in keeping with that, from the beginning, the board did not have the authority to vote against the IMRF certificate that the assessor signed under oath. So since you didn't have the authority to do that in the first place, even though you have the appeal, and since we have these budget constraints that you were talking about earlier, and we can't hire other people because of those, I don't think that it's necessary to hire an attorney for an appeal that you didn't have the authority to vote against in the first place. So I'm going to vote no.
Trustee Carabota?
Yes.
Trustee McKenzie?
Yes.
Trustee Sweeney?
Yes, and I'd just like to make a comment. The reinstatement of IMRF benefits was against the resolution that we passed in August 22nd, which did not certify.
We understand.
Authority to certify or not. So currently, there is no certification for IMRF benefits, and they were reinstated sometime late November.
Okay, Trustee Sweeney, thank you for that. And so let's move on.
I would like to ask for a point of clarification, if I may.
Yes, you're recognized.
Thank you. As far as making sure the attorney's paid for his or her time, et cetera, is there any further action we have to take today, or are we all set with that?
I think you're all set.
We're all set? Okay.
You guys approved the bills. I mean, really.
Okay. I just want to make sure.
Well,
Thank you for that clarification.
I don't approve, I mean, I'm one of, think that really, I'm not agreeing that I have no idea. But as you know, we approve the bills.
So there's nothing more that we think we need to do.
I don't know, I didn't do.
And now we're going from a no to I don't know?
No, I didn't do the research. Was I supposed to do the research on your agenda item?
What I'm asking again is for an answer on, is there anything else we need to do to make sure that the lawyer that we retain gets paid by the board?
Well, you submit the bill if you are anticipating that the township and whoever are submitted to Denise as in the normal course and go to bill pay, I assume, and whatever township attorney we have will give us advice as to whether that's the proper way.
I would then make a motion that the lawyer that is selected for the IMRF appeal be paid by the board pursuant to the fee agreement to be tendered by that attorney.
Okay, well that, I'm sorry,
I second that.
I'm going to call that out of order just because it's premature, because you don't have a fee agreement. How can you?
In other words,
what if you had a fee agreement?
I'm standing on the motion. I'm asking for a vote on the motion.
I don't understand the motion.
The motion is, I move that the board be required to pay the attorney's fees and costs incurred by the attorney that's going to be selected in handling the appeal of IMRF's decision to reinstate the benefits of and pertaining to the Assessor Susan Craig.
Second.
Okay, having a motion and a second, can you call that roll?
Supervisor Moran?
No.
Trustee Jones?
No.
Trustee Carabota?
Yes.
Trustee McKenzie?
Yes.
Trustee Sweeney?
Yes.
Okay. Now, moving right along, under new business, I have included in your board packet, and this is requiring no discussion, and I just wanted the proposal. This is another method, as I talked previously, of cost of living increases that are tied to the CPI, which are currently 1.5 and 2.0. I'm tabling that until April 3rd, when you will be presented with the budget numbers and the salary line items, and you can see the comparisons between last year's salary line item total and this year's proposed salary line item, keeping salaries flat. This year's proposed salary line item with cost of living only, this year's salary line item with cost of living and performance-based raises, and this year's salary line item with performance only.
When are we going to submit?
Next week?
So what would we have before April 3rd?
You didn't get enough to submit board pick?
In today's board packet?
That was a lot.
Okay, but
Oh, you'll be getting those spreadsheets.
a spreadsheet.
Right, and
So
you'll
we're gonna
get,
have all this in open session, right, to talk about?
yeah, it's just a discussion.
Okay.
We're not gonna talk about, they're probably, Aisha, when does the agenda for April 3rd get posted, or has it been?
Currently in the paper?
Yeah,
Well,
okay, I need to add
it's
something.
posted already in our...
I need to add, I'm gonna have to make a revised one.
In preparation for the April 3rd meeting, the audit.
We can, it's in the paper.
I can't do this, it will be next Wednesday after the meeting.
Oh, okay, yes.
In preparation for the April 3rd meeting, the audit finals should be February 27th, the end of our fiscal year. Do we have that prior to April 3rd?
No.
Or we can look at it?
The preliminary audit. We have the preliminary, like, as always, the preliminary, the auditor spent the last week here, and checked everything out and gave us some numbers, what we call the beginning numbers.
We don't have the report yet.
the auditing report, that never comes till June.
Supervisor Moran, in all fairness, you know,
What are you
this is our
talking
first
about?
year going through this, so
Right.
we have questions.
Sure.
I don't.
I'm
want
sorry, I didn't mean to
intimidated
belittle
ask a
them.
question.
So here's how it goes. So I file a preliminary budget I thought I had said this at the last two board meetings. I file a preliminary budget with the clerk's office 1 month before the proposed budget, before we want to pass the proposed budget, which I will file by the 4th week in April, because it will be on the May agenda. And this, for you guys, this is the first time that we're adding on to the annual financial statement. That's really what all April 3rd was intended to be. We're adding this on for your guys' edification. You wanted a preliminary budget discussion. So Dana's been hard at work, working way extra hours to do this.
I didn't have it early for you guys.
We got the auditor. You have to remember, we did hire a new auditor. We got him in early in conjunction with the old auditor, which is like a miracle. And we got them to do it all. And so what gets posted is the preliminary. And so once we do the preliminary, Denise has the auditor scheduled with myself and Dana the first week in May. And the first week in May, he will be doing the final audit, which will be ready by the time you vote on it. Am I right on that?
You'll get it usually the first.
It may not be ready by the time you vote on the budget.
You have the hardcover audit in June,
Not in May.
not in May. You usually have that like around, I think the 10th.
That's
On the
what
10th
we
of
have.
June, you have the hardcover audit. I mean, they have to
That's
do.
something.
Yeah.
So our budget will be voted on April.
May.
In May.
May.
20.
In May.
May. It has to be posted 30 days prior. But it can be changed. I mean, that's why it's a preliminary. If it gets posted in April, unless you guys want to pass it in June. June is the very
No,
last.
May's the last. May.
Oh, I'm sorry, that's right, we had this discussion already. May is the last month that it can be passed. It has to be in the first fiscal quarter. So I was going to do an entire speech on cost of living and salary line items, but since I was hospitalized this weekend, I'm really not going to do that tonight. Rather than doing it tonight, since we have the numbers next Tuesday, that Dana and I have been really working very hard to get for you guys, and Denise, hence the 80 hours a week, we will postpone that until next Tuesday. It wasn't a vote anyways. So you will definitely be getting some more spreadsheets. They will be emailed to you. And with that, we have an actual vote we need to do. Okay, Dick Barton, Alice Barton's contract. The day that we have to give notice as to whether we are going to seek RFP or whether we just want to renew is before, when is it? March 30th. So, that is why you have his contract in your board packet. And from my end, I have been very happy with their performance and living up to the terms of the contract. As you know, I got the price lower on that contract from where it was previously. Again, another cost savings that has been accomplished in this year's budget. It's totally up to this board. If you want us to give notice and go out for RFP, we will do that. But we can also, we don't have to vote right now on the contract, what we have to vote on is whether or not, basically we want to stay with them or go out for art.
Yeah, you recommend?
Absolutely.
The document I received has an agreement, this agreement is made effective June 27, 17. Did I miss a document in my,
Oh, this is.
it says June 27, 17.
Right, this last
For the
year.
time period, June 27, 17 to June 27, 18. This is last year's.
Yeah,
Right,
right.
so
That's the contract we're operating.
Right.
Okay. And what you're saying is, unless I'm wrong, that the amount that's being proposed is the same as here?
Oh, no, I'm not at numbers yet. What I'm saying is this contract requires 90 days notice if you're going to seek to use somebody else. That 90 days is tomorrow, or in 3 days. Yes, I'm sorry, can you state your name, step up and speak?
My name is Dennis Martin. I thought I was hearing that you had negotiated a price that was less.
I did.
For
And look, for last year.
For last year.
Yeah, you were here at that meeting. It was less than what had been proposed, and we work very well together, so I mean, there are CPI things that, whether people like it or not, have to be recognized. So, I can't say it will not be an increase or a little increase. Alex is not ready for this discussion tonight. But, they do a great job. I think they've always answered to everybody's call. And if you guys want us to
So the
go on.
retainer fee reflected here at $42,500 is the reduced price from what it was.
Right, but remember last year, I think
It
they
was
had
significant,
proposed
so it was
46.
significantly.
Yeah, and I, in my sharp bargaining skills, got it down to 1 year, and
For some reason, I just don't recall last year, unless it's because we came in so much, I guess we said in
It
May.
was just prior
It
to the
was-
4th of July, I remember.
yes, it was the June board meeting.
Right, I remember that the contract was proposed, and it was shown that it was significantly less than the year before, and the services were very, very good quality.
Right.
So we voted on that particular contract.
Right.
That's why this, to me, I was taken aback, because we're not here to vote on a specific contract, and a
Absolutely not.
specific dollar amount. We're here to vote on whether or not we keep the option open to also look at other entities to do the same job. Is that?
Basically,
In our-
but that will also,
Per the contract.
Yeah, I mean, per the contract, right. We have to give them notice, because if we give them notice, we've been with Dick Barton's group Alex now, long time, and if we give them notice that we're looking at somebody else, I can't say that they don't have every right to, turn around and, raise prices or whatever. I mean, yeah.
So just to finish up, so I understand. Last year, I had the contract with a definite price in front of me, and all I had to do was vote up and down on the
Right.
contract. Right now, not to be offensive to the Bartons, because I very much enjoy their services too, but this is just to keep the option open as to whether or not we can look at other.
Whether to do an RFP or not.
That is correct. You are
And if-
going
if-
to be voting on whether you want Vicki, Dana, and I to do an RFP, interview other companies, and provide you with, which is, I'm only going to say this, typically done if you're dissatisfied with the current provider services.
Well,
And price.
yeah, the
The
only.
price is very good.
But here's the problem that I'm having, is that if I don't want to go through RFP and all that, I mean, I don't want to go through that, but if I don't do that, whatever price does come up, I'm not, let's say we're not happy with that particular price.
Then we go through it then.
I mean, I wouldn't call it, can I be recognized? Or-
Yes, trustee.
Thank you.
in answer to your, well, first let me say it this way, I wouldn't call something dissatisfaction, I would say it's good business practice to do RFPs.
Hang on, everybody.
Not to be interpreting it, it's just, and I know there's a threshold, this is considered professional services.
Yeah,
It falls under
so it
that.
doesn't have to be bid out.
So it doesn't have to be, it's.
Correct.
Like, unless it's, if it's
It
under
does not need
70
to go to bid.
70.
May I
It doesn't
recognize
have-
real quick, I think I might have
Yes.
some clarification for everybody. Just because we don't vote to go to an RFP today, when the Bartons would present us with their
Right.
contract, at that point in time, if you didn't like the
Correct.
number, we can certainly go ahead and say, no, we would like other proposals. This,
Right.
all we're doing is from a legal standpoint, giving, per the contract, we have to give them notice whether we're going to do
Thank
it
you.
right now or not. Nothing would stop us in 90 days or 60 days or whenever we would get the proposed contract of stating, hey, we don't like these numbers, we are going to look at other vendors.
It gives them time, if we don't, like, if we vote not to go, go out to RFP right now, it gives them time to give us a really competitive contract. And we can put it on, because it's not up until June, right? So we put it on the May agenda, and if you don't like it, we go out to RFP. As simple as that.
Now, that's a much better clarification. Oh, wow.
Well, I thought I said that.
So you're saying.
If you read, wait, you had the board packet. It says it in
And I know, all I received was the contract.
but the contract has that in.
I know.
It's like a lease where you gotta give 90 days notice if you don't plan to re-up or try to re-up. Doesn't hold you from like looking at it. Like, okay, trust me.
I just wanted to clarify that. I mean, according to this contract, it just says if we wanted to terminate, or if they wanted to terminate, they would have to give 90-day notice, but we don't want to terminate this particular.
That's what I'm asking. I'm
So
sorry.
I think that's different than asking if we want to go to RFP right now. That's all.
Okay, so, can we take this vote?
So can you clarify
What's the
what
motion?
vote is then?
So the motion would be that at this point, we do not go out for RFP on Dick Barton's contract and that we are not terminating pursuant to the terms of his contract.
I'm confused.
Okay, we need to give notice if we want to get rid of them.
You said we still have the option to go to RFP.
Yeah.
So when you vote
We
on
can still
something, you
get
say
rid of
you're
them
not
even
going
after
to
this is what
RFP.
you're saying.
Yes,
I
we
don't-
can go out to RFP and pick a lower, if you don't like them because the proposal's too high, you can absolutely go out to RFP.
So why do we
If
have
we're
to vote?
terminating, if you want to terminate, you have to give 90 days
We're
notice.
not terminating.
So the motion would be that the board has decided not to terminate the current contract.
Yes.
Bingo.
Let's do
That's
that.
it.
Yeah.
Bingo.
I like
Bingo.
that motion, that's a motion right there.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Having a motion and a second and already having discussion, can we call the roll?
Supervisor Moran?
Yes.
Trustee Jones?
Yes.
Trustee Carabota?
Yes.
Trustee McKenzie?
Yes.
And Trustee Sweeney?
Yes.
All right, now,
Apologies.
there is, we're gonna go backwards. Oh, hang on, I need to get my iPad again. Hang on. Lorraine, I'm sorry. Did you say you printed out Dan's email?
Yes, I put it on your desk.
Which packet?
It was right on top of your file.
I hear so many packets. We're going to do a 5-minute break. We will reconvene at 10 o'clock. Sorry. All right. Before we get to the next agenda item, I do have an announcement to make. So this is going to be my official report, and that's all my official report is going to be tonight in the interest of time and
Our attorney, Dan Dow, tendered his resignation at 3:18 p.m. And stated, Laura, I believe it best at this time that I resign as attorney for Maine Township. There are areas of disagreement and controversy among the current board that might be better addressed with a fresh legal perspective. I am available to assist in all ways that are helpful in a transition to new council. Please know that it has been my personal and professional privilege to act as attorney for Maine Township over the past 20-plus years. The rewards have been plentiful. Warm personal regards, Dan. So, having said that, I will bring this board a new proposed appointment since the agenda for April 3rd is closed. This resignation is effective immediately. However, he will stay on for purposes that any purposes that we need him for until such time as we appoint a new one. So, I have a person in mind, and we'll have a resume and a engagement letter. It was not on the agenda tonight, so I couldn't bring it to you guys tonight.
Can you tell us who you're considering?
I'm considering the person that we used for our personnel manual, who's absolutely phenomenal. He's from Ansel Plains, and he also has worked with Wally in the highway department, and has a vast amount of experience, and is very calm and very knowledgeable about township government. He is township attorney for many townships. So I will get you all that information, unless you would like to have a special board meeting somewhere in between April 3rd and April 27th. I will be out of town the week following the April 3rd meeting. I'll be out of town April 12th through the rest of the week, returning on that Monday, April 16th. So the earliest I could do a special board meeting would be the week of the 16th. If you guys would like a special board meeting for that sole purpose, we could do that. So give me your thoughts on that. You may be recognized, and thank you for this.
Can we think about it for April 3rd?
No, because that's why I asked the creation. The agenda has already been printed in the newspaper.
Not to have it for April 3rd, but to tell you April 3rd if we would like a special meeting.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, as long as it's not like the week of the 12th.
Right, after the 16th.
Right, something after that.
So you said the agenda for April 3rd has already been printed? Yes. What's that? Because it's got to go okay.
Right, because that's the annual financial statement.
Why does it have to be a closed meeting?
I'm sorry?
You said it has to be a closed meeting?
No.
Oh, I
I
misunderstood.
didn't say anything about a closed meeting.
Special meeting.
I said if you want a special meeting.
I thought you said April 3rd, we were going to close sessions, and that's why we couldn't.
No, I had wanted to add a closed session on to April 3rd, but I can't.
So why does the attorney hiring have to be a closed session?
I didn't.
It doesn't.
I never said that.
Okay.
It does not. It absolutely does not. The attorney I'm considering would meet or be lower than attorney Dow.
And what is his name again?
I'm not going to bring it to you at this point until I get his full resume and bio, because it's not on the agenda. And I want to make sure with him that it's okay to start this soon. I mean, it was sort of a sudden announcement by Attorney Dow. So once you tell me on April 3rd, if we want a special meeting, I absolutely am happy to forward, and I'll send you by email all of the things. And personally, even though we've had a lot of special meetings, it's probably a good idea. The only reason, Trustee McKenzie, that I was asking tonight was because everybody's schedules are so difficult that even waiting another week books up things. So, if you guys are inclined, yes, you may be recommended.
I was only trying to think about it because I know that the April agenda is pretty packed. Hate to add another meeting, but since it's already packed, should we consider having a special meeting?
That's why I'm suggesting. Yeah. I mean, believe me, I hate to add a special meeting to.
Maybe we should.
Okay. And for purposes of the special meeting, it would literally, we always say this, it's going to be the only agenda item. But we always, on a special meeting, still have to have an area for closed session in case there is something that comes up that needs to go into closed session. That's why closed session's on every agenda. But I did not say anything specifically. So, if everybody can look at their calendars. And keep in mind, we have the annual town meeting on April 10th. So that week's out.
We're looking at after April 16th, correct?
Right. So, how is, I'm going to throw some dates out there. How is either tax day, Tuesday, April 17th, Clary, you might be really busy, or Wednesday, April 18th.
Well, I know I can't do the 17th, not because of tax day, because of theater numbers. We changed the theater, so I am able to do the 17th, okay?
I can do the 17th. 17th is okay, so?
Yes.
17th is okay.
I can move something, yeah, I can do the 17th.
Yeah, 17th.
Fine by me.
Well,
Yeah, I'll be there.
Time is
Susie?
our town meeting, it's at 7?
all right. Wow. So,
What time, I'm sorry, what time is it?
I say, you know what? Why don't we make it 6:30? Would that be easier for everybody or harder?
It'd be better.
Okay, then 7 o'clock.
It doesn't matter, 7 o'clock.
7's fine. All right, so I'm gonna make a motion to have a special meeting on April 17th at 7 o'clock p.m. for the purpose of the supervisor bringing an appointee who will be present. I will have him present. For advice and consent of the board.
Second?
Having a motion and a second, can you call the roll?
Supervisor Morass?
Yes.
Trustee Jones?
Yes.
Trustee Carabota?
Yes.
Trustee McKenzie?
Yes.
Trustee Sweeney?
Yes.
All right.
What time is the annual meeting on the 10th? For some reason, I don't have a time.
The annual town meeting?
On
Seven.
Oh, for some reason I thought that started earlier.
By law, it has to be after 6 or 6 or...
So, now,
Question.
oh, I'm sorry. I recognize the gentleman.
Yeah, Dennis Martin. Silly question, and I don't know all the rules, but, so why would we just have one page? I like 31 flavors. We wouldn't need 31, but just ask me.
I'm going to answer that for you because by township statute, it is the supervisor who brings an appointment. After does not mean,
So I just, like I said, I didn't know the rules.
that's the answer.
Yeah.
No need for the RFP, and I already did it with respect to when we used this person and got approval for the personnel manual. So he did a great job. I think Ansel Blink's a great firm, and that's the answer. All right, so going back to officials' reports, I have no report. So I started. I will now ask Clerk Gillons.
No report.
Highway Commissioner Kismer.
In the interest of time, no report.
Assessor Mollenkopf.
I report.
You can make a report, don't feel bad.
No, I don't feel bad at all. I would like to clarify though, since I'm on the agenda, it seems like so much, and my name was brought up, I'd like it to be pronunciated correctly. It is cry, not pray, just to let you know that.
It's Cry's name?
It's cry,
Oh.
yes. It's cry, it's not pray. So just to move forward with that, just to tell you a little bit about the assessor's office, and I do have some news coming down from the Cook County Treasurer's office, so I'd like to get that out tonight. Also, just to let you know that we've been entering a lot of permits, so spring has come because people are anticipating to do projects. We've entered 252 permits. Our applications for exemptions will be ending this week, so now we've been busy doing audits of exemptions that we've filed to make sure that they are in the second installment of the tax bill. We've also searched and identified the 2016 delinquent taxes for exemptions and possible oversight of not paying. There's some people who have bought property, who have paid their first installment of 2017 taxes, but neglected to pay the second installment of 2016, that might have to do something with foreclosure, transfer of property, anything like that. So we followed up on those recognized people and have communicated with them. I want to talk about the
How many people there are do you have a count on that roughly?
the people that we have located, or the people that are in delinquent?
Yeah.
Do you want to know with just the residents, or do you want to know commercial property too, the residents?
Both, I guess.
Well, the residents were like 300, maybe commercial, yeah, a couple hundred.
Is that unusual, or is that?
No, I think it is a little bit more than it has been generally in the past. Taxes have gone up, circumstances for different people. So yeah, and we've located people who have now come to us and said they didn't even realize that they were going to go for a tax sale. So that's a good thing that our office discovered. So, and...
Sorry, did you say that they were going to tax sale?
Yes.
So they didn't
May
realize
4th
that
is
May
our
4th is the tax sale date,
or
right?
2016 delinquent tax.
Right, and they weren't
They
informed
weren't,
of that?
they didn't realize it.
So whose job is it the county informing them of that, or?
They put it out in the newspaper.
What happens if somebody doesn't show because they've never been informed?
Right, exactly. That's why our office is consistent when doing things like that for our residents,
Okay.
to locate them. Okay. Also, the Cook County Treasurer has made it easier for property owners to recover nearly $94.1 million in overpayment of taxes. Do you believe that in Cook County? The application requires proof that the refund applicant did pay the taxes, and you can now search by your PIN number or by your address, and you'll get a response available for funds going back all the way for 20 years. But here's the downside of that. Anything before 2009, the state mandated it can only be $2.5 million that they'll refund. And you have to, all the money that is recovered from this, making it easy for the taxpayers. It comes out of the local government. That's where the money comes from. So the treasurer's office issues the money to the local governments, but now that will have to come out of us, Cook County, the schools, whatever.
Isn't that how it works every year, does?
I'm sorry?
Isn't that how it works every year, those?
It does, but now the treasurer has put it out and made it more public. And me announcing this also tonight and being more friendly, user-friendly online with the treasurer's office. You get some money back. So it might behoove you to look, put your PIN number down or treasurer's site, put your address down.
Is Cook County Treasurer?
Mm-hmm. The county treasurer, and see if you have it. There's a form that you're going to have to fill out on proof that you did pay it. It can't be like your bank or your, the past owner of the property paid it. You would have to have proof that you paid it to get that money back. That's my report. Thank you.
All right, Trustee Jones.
No report.
And Trustee Carroll.
Just to thank everyone for staying so long tonight, for all your contributions. Thank you again for coming. No further report.
All right, Trustee McKenzie.
The only report I have is that based on Attorney Dowd's direction, I did go ahead and draft the notice of appeal to the IMRF, and that's all I have.
Trustee Singh.
I would like to thank Trustee McKenzie and Trustee Carabota for their work on the committee and putting the draft policies together. And I'd also like to thank Trustee McKenzie and the work for the notice of appeal and the work that both she and Trustee Carabota have done together, separately on the resolution. It's a lot of work to try to go forward on something that we wish we weren't in this situation. We wish that this was more transparent to begin with. And
Trustee Sweeney, can you repeat to what you
I'm finishing up. That, if things weren't done behind our back, we wouldn't be in the situation to have to do an appeal. And we could have proceeded differently. So I look forward to the appeal actually taking place, and we're doing this on behalf of the taxpayer because we believe it's really important to cast a vote and make sure that it is adhered to. And I appreciate your continued participation in the board meetings. Thank you.
All right. So now, we do not have an attorney report. I gave it. And we're up to item number 2. She said she had none.
Oh, no report. Okay.
All right. So I'm going to move to go into closed session. The sole purpose of the discussion of performance compensation of specific employees of Maine Township, Section 5, ILCS 120/2. And can I have a second?
Second.
Having a motion and a second, is there any discussion? Hearing no discussion, can you call the roll?
Supervisor Moran?
Yes.
Trustee Jones?
Yes.
Trustee Carabota? Yes. Trustee McKenzie? Trustee Sweeney?
Yes. All right, now I'm going to ask for a motion to allow the staff to leave, because the only items left after we get out, as we did last time, is a motion to come out of closed session and a motion to leave. So it's to save staff time. Can I have a second on that motion?
Second.
You have a motion and a second. Can you call the roll?
Supervisor Moran?
Yes.
Trustee Jones?
Yes.
Trustee Carabota?
Yes.
Trustee McKenzie?
Yes.
Trustee Sweeney?
Yes.
All right. And we are in recess.
Thank you all for coming.